Climate change policy refers to the set of laws, regulations, initiatives, and measures implemented by governments at the local, national, and international levels to address climate change, mitigate its impacts, and transition to a low-carbon, sustainable economy. Climate change policies aim to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, promote renewable energy and energy efficiency, adapt to climate impacts, and promote resilience and sustainability across various sectors of society. These policies often involve a combination of regulatory measures, economic incentives, public investments, and international agreements to achieve their objectives. In both the United States and the United Kingdom, climate change policy plays a significant role in shaping environmental regulations and addressing climate-related challenges. Here's how climate change policy impacts environmental regulations in each country. United States. Federal regulations. In the U.S., climate change policy and environmental regulations are primarily governed by federal agencies such as the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, which sets standards and regulations for air quality, water quality, emissions from vehicles and industrial sources, and other environmental issues. Climate-related regulations and initiatives may include emission standards for power plants, fuel economy standards for vehicles, and regulations to reduce methane emissions from oil and gas operations. Executive actions. U.S. presidents can also influence climate change policy and environmental regulations through executive actions, such as issuing executive orders, directing federal agencies to prioritize climate action, and establishing interagency task forces or councils to coordinate climate-related initiatives. Legislative efforts. While comprehensive climate change legislation has been proposed in the U.S. Congress, the passage of such legislation has been challenging due to political differences and partisan gridlock. However, Congress can still play a role in shaping climate policy through the enactment of laws related to energy, transportation, infrastructure, and other sectors. United Kingdom. National climate policy. In the UK, climate change policy is guided by the Climate Change Act 2008, which sets legally binding targets for reducing greenhouse gas emissions and requires the government to develop and implement plans to achieve these targets. The UK also has a series of carbon budgets, which set limits on total greenhouse gas emissions over 5-year periods. Regulatory framework. The UK government implements climate change policy through a regulatory framework that includes regulations, standards, incentives, and funding mechanisms to promote low-carbon technologies, energy efficiency, renewable energy deployment, and emissions reduction across sectors such as energy, transportation, industry, and buildings. International commitments. The UK is also committed to international climate agreements, such as the Paris Agreement, which aims to limit global warming to well below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels and pursue efforts to limit the temperature increase to 1.5 degrees Celsius. As part of its international commitments, the UK has pledged to achieve net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. Overall, climate change policy plays a critical role in shaping environmental regulations and driving action to address climate-related challenges in both the US and the UK. While approaches may vary between countries, the overarching goal is to transition to a sustainable, low-carbon economy and mitigate the impacts of climate change on people, ecosystems, and economies.